Now at 9, the city of Joplin receives a $4 million grant to make improvements to Zora Street. Plus, why Joplin firefighters are getting bigger paychecks and
there is bipartisan concern about the border, with President Biden and other top officials seeing the crisis firsthand. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with that story coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dow Quick. Millions of dollars in improvements are coming to Joplin Zora Street. The work will focus on East Zora from Range Line to Highway 249. KOAM's Yana Hautala spoke with city officials and residents about the importance of the project.
Zora Street in Joplin is getting some big improvements thanks to a $4 million state grant. Joplin Public Works Director Don Johnson says the use of Zora Street drove the city to put money where the traffic is.
The people that live there and the people that drive that route, I am getting a lot of support. A lot of people recognize this project needs to be done.
Businesses around the area with big trucks are excited about the road development on Zora Street as it can make the traffic smoother.
We can see truck traffic and car traffic backed up all the way up to these entrances, and then once we start getting backed up into our entrances, then we start slowing the progress to getting into the trailer park down here.
Don's cold storage and dry storage see anywhere from 200 to 250 trucks a day at the Zora and Duquesne intersection. They say a truck-friendly roundabout will help.
Improving the intersection, making it more efficient to get through, it's safer and it saves money, and also there's an environmental impact.
Starting from Range Line, the road towards North Duquesne Road will see curb and gutter improvements, as well as storm sewer system. North Duquesne to Highway 249 will get new paved shoulders.
If you needed to get out of the lane for whatever reason, you have some place that you can pull over.
When work begins, there will be traffic changes. That includes the Zora-Duquesne intersection closing completely.
We had 2 ways to go. We could attempt to allow traffic partially through the intersection, or we could just get the whole thing done in a shorter period of time.
In Joplin, Yana Hautala, KOAM News.
City officials estimate the project will start this coming fall or during the spring of 2024. Completion will take about a year. Joplin firefighters are now getting bigger paychecks due to an agreement between the Joplin City Council and union. The 11.2% increase will help hire additional firefighters and keep the ones they already have. The increase will allow the Joplin Fire Department to hire 14 new people, be a total of 102. Police receive a 12% increase, and other city employees get a 4% hike.
It was one of those things where I was kind of hoping for a contract for Christmas as a Christmas gift, and we were actually able to sit down. We spent about 6.5 hours, but we were able to iron out an agreement between the city and the union.
That pay increase started on December 31st. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us now with a first look at the weather.
And it's been beautiful weather the last few days with lots of sunshine, abnormally warm for the month of January. In fact, we were pretty close to a record today. Radar is all clear, but that's going to be changing over the next 24 to 36 hours beyond tomorrow. And then we're looking at temperatures tonight dropping down through the 40s into the 30s, around 35 by tomorrow morning. Temperatures this afternoon, as I mentioned, were very, very pleasant. We saw readings in the lower 60s across a large part of the area, upper 50s up in Garnett, but still pretty warm for those folks. And temperatures right now have dropped down into the 30s, 40s, and even a few 50s. 50 in Afton right now, as well as Grove for one of the warmest readings. If we take a look down the lane, we're going to be looking at a warm couple of days, but then we're going to have a little bit of a change. Wednesday night into Thursday morning, maybe even a wintry mix. And then we'll have a mild weekend ahead and more rain early next week. And of course, I'll have all the details coming up in just a bit.
Catch you then. Skeletal remains found in Colorado have been identified as those of a Joplin man. Authorities say Michael Kroll was reported missing in the Pagosa Springs, Colorado area in October of 2021. The remains were discovered by hikers last September, but DNA testing just confirmed that they belonged to Kroll. Kroll was 41 when he disappeared. No word on the cause of death. A celebration of life service for Kroll is set for January 28th at Unity of Joplin Church. Authorities are searching for a man who robbed the Casey's store at gunpoint in Airport Drive, Missouri. That robbery occurred just before 10 last night at the Casey's on 5869 North Main Street. Authorities say the robber demanded cash and left and got into a car, went east toward Webb City. No one was injured and there is no word yet on a suspect. The Barton County, Missouri Sheriff's Office responded to an armed robbery at Lamargie's truck stop in Lamar Heights. They say a man demanded cash, left the store in what authorities believe was a red Ford Escape. They say the man has tattoos over both eyes and a tattoo on his right hand. If you have any information, you should call the Barton County Sheriff's Office. President Biden is in Mexico, where he's gathering for the North American Leaders Summit alongside Mexico's president and Canada's prime minister. The border, which has seen a record number of illegal crossings, will likely be a top issue. Madeline Rivera reports from Washington, where lawmakers are voicing bipartisan concern about the crisis.
After moving past barbed wire and climbing over a barrier of shipping containers, migrants from the Dominican Republic made it to Eagle Pass, Texas, elated and eager to look for work. It's just one of many illegal border crossings that have sparked bipartisan concern. On Monday, a group of Republican and Democratic senators toured El Paso, where resources are strained from a flood of migrants.
There's a humanitarian issue here. There's a law enforcement issue here.
Their visit comes a day after President Biden traveled to the city for the first time since taking office. Republicans are slamming his trip as too little too late.
I wanted to make clear that he was receiving a sanitized review of what was going on the border.
President Biden is facing criticism from all sides. Immigrant advocates are blasting his recent border plan, which they say echo his predecessor's hardline approach to immigration. The president did not appear to meet with migrants while he was in El Paso.
I do hope that the president does get the opportunity to have a conversation with these people and understand where they're coming from.
Despite his pledge to provide more resources for border officials, President Biden's border response is shaping up to be a major political issue ahead of a potential 2024 run. Some see his move to the center as a way to appease moderates.
That's exactly what this is a repeated failure by administration after administration to manage this crisis.
Mexico's president says he proposed to President Biden the idea of sending more U.S. investment to Latin American countries to stem migration. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. John Drennan served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 1966 to 1970. The Joplin native was stationed in Vietnam, received a National Defense Service Medal and Vietnam Service Medal, among other awards. And we salute Lance Corporal John Drennan, a four-state hero. Coming up, a scene in Brazil similar to one in Washington 2 years ago.
Brazil's government vows to push back against the violent protests against the country's newly elected president. I'm Amy Kellogg, and I'll have all the details on the unrest straight ahead.
A Virginia teacher is in stable condition and showing signs of improvement today after police say she was intentionally shot by a 6-year-old student on Friday. Police won't say how the boy got the gun or who owns the weapon. The child cannot be tried as an adult under Virginia law and is too young to be committed to the Department of Juvenile Justice if found guilty, but a judge could revoke the parents' custody. In a scene similar to the January 6th Capitol riots in Washington, thousands of people stormed Brazil's highest seats of power in anger over that country's election results. Reporter Amy Kellogg has that story.
Cleanup underway in Brazil's capital of Brasilia after thousands of ex-President Jair Bolsonaro supporters stormed and trashed the country's Congress, Supreme Court, and presidential palace on Sunday. Chaos broke out a week after the inauguration of newly elected leftist president Luiz Ignacio Lula da Silva. Bolsonaro supporters allege Lula da Silva's electoral win was rigged and are calling on Brazil's military to restore far-right Bolsonaro to power.
We are going to find the financiers, and they will all pay with the force of law for this irresponsible, undemocratic gesture.
President Lula da Silva is vowing to carry on and punish those responsible. His security forces have already arrested hundreds of demonstrators and dismantled a protest camp set up outside the country's military headquarters. Meanwhile, the Biden administration continues to express support for President Lula da Silva amid mounting pressure to do more.
We condemn this violence. Violence is never appropriate. It is never the answer. Brazil's democratic institutions have our full support.
Bolsonaro is currently in Florida after flying out of Brazil days before Lula da Silva's inauguration. Critics are calling for him to be sent back to Brazil. The White House, however, says they have not received any request from Brazil's government asking for him to return. The White House also saying that President Biden will be speaking to President Lula da Silva very soon, but admits that nothing has been scheduled as of yet. In Milan, Amy Kellogg, Fox News.
Meteorologist Sam Lane is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, the Carl Junction girls face a tough test against a top 10 opponent.
Well, friends, we have had a nice stretch of weather over the last few days with temperatures in the 60s in many locations. Just not typical for January, but I think we'll take it. Let's take a look outside 24 hours ago down in Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. And we'll put this in motion, show you what happened with the clouds as they rolled out of our area this morning. And the fog started to lift and we saw the sunshine come out and bright sunny skies, just a few clouds out there this afternoon and evening. And now conditions are pretty nice across the entire area. Right now in Joplin, we're looking at a high of 64 this afternoon. We started out at freezing, but even that was above normal by about 7 degrees. And of course, 20 degrees above normal on the high and only 3 degrees from the record back in 1963. So just the kind of record you want to set in January. Satellite view shows just a few high clouds today. Those have quickly moved off towards the east, but notice back to the west, we have yet another storm system that's impacting the west coast, and there's storm after storm after storm after storm out in the Pacific Ocean, and they're all making a beeline towards California. So those folks are going to be dealing with this kind of problem, this atmospheric river, for quite some time, producing lots of flooding. No flooding here. Instead, we've been dry, and we're going to stay dry for a little bit longer. Temperatures right now are in the 30s out towards the west, like in Neodesha as well as Parsons. A little bit warmer down to the south and east, where it's 50 in Neodesha and 50 also in Anderson. It's about 10 to 15 degrees warmer tonight than it was 24 hours ago. A little bit cooler off towards the west, where it's not quite as warm tonight, but still a little bit above normal. All right, let's take a look at the dew points. They're also starting to increase a little bit. Dew points are in the upper 20s to the mid 30s, and as we go through time, those dew points are going to start creeping up into the 40s ahead of that storm system. Right now it's 49, feels like 44 because the wind is out of the southwest at 11. Dew points 34, and of course, good time to set the barometer, 30 inches even, and is currently steady. Rain chances over the next 36 hours are going to be pretty low. That's going to increase as we go through Wednesday night into Thursday, and yes, even a wintry mix is possible, and we'll get to that in a second. But right now we're looking at lows tonight, generally in the 30s and 40s across our area with a few clouds, and then tomorrow afternoon, temperatures are going to warm back up into the mid 60s, and by 5 o'clock dropping down into the upper 50s to around 60 degrees. But notice kind of a breezy condition with southerly winds. And then Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we're going to see more clouds roll in ahead of a cold front that's going to make its way towards us, and then it's going to put the brakes on as it approaches us from the north and west. And then Wednesday afternoon, it's going to retreat back to the north as a warm front, and we'll see highs in the 50s and 60s under mostly cloudy skies and breezy south winds. Then Wednesday night into Thursday morning, that's when this cold front comes back through the area. Cold air spills in behind it just in time to meet up with some moisture. And so we could see a mixture of rain and snow, especially up towards the north, with lows generally in the 30s. All right, let's take a look at the rainfall amounts. Not really a whole lot, generally around a tenth or more down to the south and east, lighter amounts up towards the north and west. And some folks may not get a drop at all. So we'll have to wait and see how that works out. Then if we take a look down the road, we're going to see this storm system will come through on Wednesday night into Thursday. That rapidly moves away. Cold air comes in behind it, and then these two systems kind of merge and creates a trough of low pressure on the east coast, bringing in some cooler air. But then the warm air comes back over the weekend. 64 tomorrow, 62 Wednesday, And then, like I said, maybe some rain late Wednesday into early Thursday, and then we go down a little bit, but then comes right back into the 60s early next week.
Yeah, a very brief dip and really not that far.
Not that bad. Yep.
Thanks, Sam. Heavy rain and gusty winds are threatening much of California this week. The severe storms are hitting just days after a bomb cyclone damaged communities. Reporter Max Gordon has more.
Powerful storms once again moving through California, putting millions of people under weather alerts. Heavy rain pummeled parts of Northern California on Monday. The water overwhelmed swollen rivers throughout the region and threatened to flood others. Some residents say they're now scrambling for other places to stay.
Where are we going? Because, this is a small area and the shelters are reasonably small, so we thought. And then my neighbor has her dad who's like 95. So that's a, thought process for us.
Los Angeles is bracing for several inches of rain this week. Powerful waves are already stirring up along the coast, putting communities on alert.
Most of our coastal flooding has been due to the high tides and the swells. The rain has some to do with it, but it's mostly breaching our berm that we put up here for protection.
Forecasters say this system is part of a series of atmospheric rivers that will bring massive amounts of rain and snow to California. President Biden declared a state of emergency ahead of their arrival. Over the past 2 weeks, other storm systems flooded roads, toppled trees, and knocked out power to thousands of customers. At least a dozen people have died. Many now fear vulnerable trees and power lines could cause even more damage.
Our back fence has been destroyed, and there's one very tall tree that's still standing. And if that one goes, it will come right into our house.
State and local officials are asking residents to stay off the roads if they can. In Monterey, California, Max Gordon, Fox Weather.
Coming up, why 9 U.S. Army bases will soon undergo name changes. After 2 years, a politically and racially diverse congressionally mandated commission completed its recommendations to rename Army bases and remove statues and art celebrating those who voluntarily served the Confederate Army. The Pentagon ordered the name changes to be implemented by the end of the year. The price tag is estimated to be $62.5 million. Reporter Jennifer Griffin is at the Pentagon tonight.
9 Army bases will face name changes, including Fort Bragg, North Carolina, named for Braxton Bragg, an ill-tempered, slave-owning Confederate general who lost most of his battles and troops. Fort Bragg was named in 1918 during the Jim Crow period as an olive branch to Southern families whose sons the military hoped to recruit. It's been home to the U.S. military's elite special forces and airborne units and will now be known as Fort Liberty. Other changes include Fort Benning, Georgia, named for the colonel who led Georgia's secessionist movement, will become Fort Moore. Fort Polk, Louisiana, named for a general who owned more than 100 slaves, will become Fort Johnson, who received the Medal of Honor for actions during World War I. Fort Gordon, Georgia, will now be Fort Eisenhower, originally named for a member of the Ku Klux Klan. Fort Rucker, Alabama, named for a slave trader, will become Fort Novosel.
Who was a World War II Army Air Corps pilot, was awarded the Medal of Honor for action in combat, and not only saved the life of his own son, but his son returned the favor by saving his father when the father had been shot down. It commemorates the way so many military families are intergenerational.
The commission came in the wake of the police killing of George Floyd in 2020. Congress established the Naming Commission in the 2021 NDAA, which then President Trump vetoed due to the presence of the commission. Bipartisan majorities in both houses of Congress then overrode Trump's veto. The Pentagon has until the end of the year to comply. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
Up next, we're going to learn about the newest and cutest addition to Kansas City Zoo. A look at the cutest addition to the Kansas City Zoo, a baby rhinoceros there at the bottom. According to the zoo's Facebook page, the critically endangered eastern black rhino calf made its debut on New Year's Eve. We don't know the gender yet. We're going to find out in the coming weeks when a neonatal exam is done. The zoo says once they know the calf's gender, they're going to welcome visitors to help choose a name. There are only about 740 black rhinos left in the wild. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. How the city plans to deal with an increase in traffic around Joplin's newly finished Dover Hill Elementary.
House Republicans have a speaker in place. Now they need a set of rules before they can get to work. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. What Republicans are saying about their agenda of investigations and spending cuts coming up.
School's in session at Dover Hill Elementary, but the site of Joplin's newest school might also be the site of Joplin's latest traffic problems. KOAM's Amber Jenkins spoke with the Director of Public Works of Joplin to learn, will this new school affect the flow of traffic?
Dover Hill Elementary is Joplin's newest school. It's located at the intersection of North Main Street and Murphy Boulevard, a busy area for commuters.
The city and the school district work together along with the Department of Transportation, and a traffic study was conducted for the school. It's a big enough traffic generator that we felt that was important.
The traffic study was vital when planning the new school.
That's why you will see the location of the entrance and exit onto Main Street. That was a result of that study, and then the location for the parent drop-off and pickup. Why that entrance comes off of Murphy Boulevard.
A new school can mean a frenzy of buses and parents picking up and dropping off students here at the intersection of Murphy Boulevard and North Main Street in Joplin. However, the school and the city made sure to work together to make sure that your commute to work is not hindered by the additional traffic.
And everyone was, of course, working towards the same goal. We were concerned about safety to the traveling public and the folks using the school. So it all went very well.
The school district estimated 200 cars per day for pickup and drop-off. That's in addition to Main Street's 16,000 daily cars and Murphy Boulevard's 5,000 daily cars. However, they say no need to fret about traffic congestion.
And I think with those numbers, you can see 200 vehicles is really not going to have much of a major impact.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Dover Hill Elementary has also implemented a staggered dismissal so traffic is not greatly affected. City of Joplin is discussing ways to become more transparent to residents. Officials met today for a work session where they laid out initiatives to allow residents and city employees to more easily access information. They also discussed a 5-year plan to tackle the issue. John Deere is giving farmers the long-sought right to repair agricultural equipment on their own. The agreement signed yesterday follows years of lawsuits and complaints. It means farmers can diagnose and fix their John Deere tractors without using company parts or facilities. The American Farm Bureau Federation says the agreement also protects John Deere's intellectual property. The House approved a rules package today. Now that it's in place, Speaker Kevin McCarthy vows his party will be full steam ahead on what they promised voters. Reporter Lauren Blanchard shows us what's on the to-do list for the newly Republican-led House.
As the 118th House of Representatives gavels in Monday, the first item is the set of rules they'll use to govern for the next 2 years. Then the GOP says they want to get to work on reining in spending, investigating President Biden's family, and looking into COVID origins.
Our first committee hearing will be on the COVID funds.
We are going to defund those 87,000 additional IRS agents.
But first, Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who took 15 rounds of votes to finally secure the Speaker's gavel, will need to pull together the moderate majority of his party and the small but necessary House Freedom Caucus votes, not only this week, but as his party tackles tough future issues like the budget, the debt ceiling, and avoiding shutdowns. In the hardline Conservatives deal with McCarthy, they won the ability to launch a vote to oust him with just one member.
I don't think it'll be done because I think if Kevin McCarthy shows the same good faith in executing the agreement as he did in negotiating the agreement, we're going to be just fine.
Democrats say they will remain united against the policies, cuts, and investigations McCarthy has promised.
There are a number of other
bills that they're going to try to jam through without any committee consideration that I don't believe are going to play well.
While House Republicans have a long list of items they want to accomplish, little will actually become law unless they can get the Democratic-led Senate and the White House to sign on. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
A bit later, the future of technology on display.
A flying boat and a $10,000 smart toilet are just some of the thousands of inventions trying to change the future of tech. I'm Jackie Ibanez with highlights from this year's Consumer Electronics Show. It's coming up.
Well, friends, the last few days it's felt more like early April instead of early January with temperatures in the 60s. In fact, we were pretty close to the record this afternoon. We'll take a look at that in a moment. First, let's go outside and take a look, see what's going down the road down in Seneca, Missouri, the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Pretty nice evening down there. Clear skies most of the day down there as well. In fact, we made it up to 64 degrees here in Joplin, which was only 3 degrees away from the record set back in 1963. And of course, we were 20 degrees above the normals of 44, and the normal low is 25, and we were 7 degrees above that. So it's been quite warm the last few days, and here's why. Ridge of high pressure is in control. We're under Pacific air and not Arctic air. Just a few high, thin cirrus clouds during the day, and we have more clouds on the way. They're out in the Intermountain West right now, but that is going to be moving in our direction, and it's all part of a big storm system that's still pummeling California, and there's one storm system lined up after the other, and those are going to be hitting the state over the next few days. But here, we're going to be seeing some pretty nice weather with just a few bumps in between. Temperatures right now are generally in the 40s for the most part, some 30s also, 33 in Parsons, also 32 in Neodesha for one of the coolest readings right now, 43 in Nevada, but what's still, compared to 24 hours ago, we're generally around 10 to 15 degrees warmer now than we were just 24 hours ago, so at least we're on the upswing. Dew points are still kind of dry, with dew points in the 20s and 30s across the area. That's going to be increasing over the next few days too, so we'll start to feel a little bit more humid as we go through time. Right now in Joplin, it's 49. It feels like 44. It's because the wind's out of the southwest at 11 miles per hour. Right now, the pressure is steady at 30 inches even, so a good time to set your barometer. Precip chances over the next 36 hours, pretty low. That's going to be changing as we go into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. But tonight, we're going to see fair to partly cloudy skies with lows in the 30s across our area, mid-30s here in the metro area, colder up to the north, a little bit warmer down to the south. Then tomorrow afternoon, a lot more sunshine with temperatures in the upper 50s to around 60 degrees, even mid-60s. Check out Pineville, 66 tomorrow with southerly winds. Then Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we're going to see mostly cloudy skies with a front dropping down from the north and west, but it's going to hit the brakes as it comes into our area with lows in the 40s and 30s. Then it's going to retreat back to the north as a warm front, and by Wednesday afternoon, we'll still see highs in the upper 50s and lower 60s, but then we're going to start to see chances of rain moving into our picture as a cold front sweeps through the area, temperatures dropping into the 30s, feeling more like winter out there, and even a wintry mix is possible across our area late Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. So the Thursday morning commute might be a little bit of a problem. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Rainfall chances are going to be low, and rainfall amounts are going to be low as well, especially in our area, maybe a little bit higher down to the south and east. Looking down the road, cold air is going to be shoved up to the north for a while, and then it's going to come in a little bit behind the storm system on Wednesday and Thursday in time for Friday. But don't worry, as we go through the weekend, we're going to see high pressure start to build back in and the mild air start to return. Over the next 7 days, 64 tomorrow, 62 Wednesday with that rain Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And then as we go into Friday, 43. But then by the weekend, it's all a memory with temperatures back in the 60s, another chance of rain on Monday, and then extending that out, a little bit of a cool down again late next week.
Overall, those highs
not bad.
Thanks, Sam. Here's another reason to add gardening to your hobbies. Researchers in Colorado found people who participate in community gardening eat more fiber and get more physical activity. 2 ways of reducing the risk of cancer and chronic diseases. Gardeners also report less stress and anxiety. Coming up in sports, Carl Junction girls hit the court in a top 10 battle against Republic. Plus, the Kansas State Wildcats enter that national poll after 3 straight wins against ranked opponents. Jacob Leonard has that and more up next.
Well, tonight is a big night for the Carl Junction High School girls basketball team. The Bulldogs play at home this evening in a top 10 matchup against Republic. Carl Junction 10-1, ranked 4th in the state in Class 5. Republic, meanwhile, 12-1, number 6 in Class 6. A hot start for Carl Junction. Destiny Berge pulls up off the dribble, knocks down the 3-ball. Later, Kylie Scott working in the paint, scoops it in and the foul. Carl Junction leads 17-6 after 1. On the second quarter, right before the buzzer, Hallie Shorter, good from deep. Bulldogs maintain a 9-point advantage at halftime. Second half, though, here comes Republic. Hope Shots buries the 3 from the far side. Tigers rally to take a 2-point lead going to the fourth. Now in the fourth, Destiny Berge gets her own rebound, putback, and the foul. Berge scores 18. CJ goes back up 1 with the free throw. The Bulldogs up 3 with 90 seconds left, but Kanan Beckmeyer's 3 ties the game back up. So, final 10 seconds, still tied. Kylie Scott drives. Tough shot, but it does go down. Scott scores the team-high 21. Bulldogs up 2. Now Republic heading the other way. One final chance to tie it, but it is off, and that is it. Carl Junction wins a thriller tonight over Republic, 50-48. On the Kansas side, the Colgan girls are off to a 7-0 start this season. The Panthers have climbed the state rankings up to number 3 in Class 2A. Now, their head coach, Abby Farabi, joined us in studio over the weekend to talk about the team's hot start and their 1-2 punch of Lily Brown and Lauren Torrance.
They're alike, but they're very different. Like, Torrance is pretty good with her back to the basket. She can shoot the 3 really well, and she handles the ball. Lily can, nearly touch the rim. You can throw her any pass. That's what we always tell them. Just throw it up, give it a chance, and she can catch it. But they're doing a very good job of, playing through each other and together. And they're both very, very unselfish. And 6'2", 6'1", they can run the court. I mean, I know I wouldn't want to be doing a scouting report against them.
You can check out our full interview with Coach Farabi on the sports page at KOAMnewsnow.com. The Kansas State Wildcats have entered the national rankings for the first time this season, sitting at number 11 in this week's AP poll. It's the first appearance for the Wildcats in the AP poll since 2019. K-State is 12-1 to start the year. They've won 3 straight against top 25 opponents. Now, the Kansas Jayhawks are up 1 spot to number 2 this week, while Missouri stays put at number 20. Well, the regular season is over, and now it's time for the playoffs for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs have earned the number 1 seed and a first-round bye in the AFC playoffs, going 14-3 in the regular season. On Saturday, Chiefs rolled by the Raiders 31-13 in their season finale. With that win, the Chiefs finished the season 6-0 against AFC West opponents. Now, they do not know who they will play in the playoffs yet, but they do know they have this week off, and they'll be ready for whoever comes to Kansas City in a couple weeks.
A couple of teams we've played, a couple of teams we haven't. So, we'll try to focus in on the ones we think that we have a chance to play most of all, but also cover all of them. And while we have time I'm saying as a coaching staff, and then we'll narrow that down for the players as we get them this week. Before we actually know for next week.
South Dakota State football won the FCS National Championship last night, beating North Dakota State 45-21. Former Joplin High School running back Isaiah Davis, he was a big part of it, rushing for 104 yards on 22 carries, while also picking up 28 receiving yards. And Davis led the national champs in rushing yards this year, with 1,374 yards and 14 touchdowns. Well, that's a look at sports. We're back with more news right after this.
The 2023 Consumer Electronics Show may be over, but the creativity behind this year's inventions are just beginning to inspire the technology of the future. Reporter Jackie Ibanez takes an exciting look at some of the amazing gadgets.
The 2023 Consumer Electronics Show going out with a bang. Or in the case of this flying boat, a splash.
Behind us we see the Candela C8, which is the first long-range and high-speed electric boat.
The craft uses airplane-type wings called hydrofoils to lift the hull out of the water, letting the boat cruise above choppy waves while conserving its power.
These hydrofoils reduce the energy consumption by 80% compared to a conventional boat. And that means that we can squeeze out more miles at high speeds.
It's just one of the thousands of inventions showcased this weekend at CES in Las Vegas, where this hands-free $10,000 smart toilet also promised to impress.
Amazon Alexa is built into the product, allows you to play music, you can play your favorite podcast, check the news.
Another gadget aiming to make life easier is this exoskeleton suit. Armed with artificial intelligence, the pack learns the body movements of its wearer and helps make lifting heavy objects a breeze.
Also, we're expanding into healthcare, especially for elderly care, and as well into construction work.
Meanwhile, these gold-plated pearl earrings aren't just jewelry. They're wireless headphones, offering music lovers style and function. Sunday marked the end of CES 2023, but officials say the themes of sustainability and simplicity found in many of the inventions shown could inspire the next generation of tech. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Coming up, we're going to check out this week's Fox TV lineup, including the return of a popular music competition show. Fox's new series Alert Missing Persons Unit and Special Forces World's Toughest Test bring all new episodes. Plus, Name That Tune is back for season 3 and more this week on Fox TV. Here's a look at what's coming up with Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
All new episodes of new and returning Fox series are what's hot on Fox.
What can the island do for you?
Monday on Fantasy Island, a woman searches for her biological father. Elena and Javier grow closer, and Ruby encounters an old friend. Then it's the time period premiere of Alert Missing Persons Unit. Jason, Nikki, and team investigate a new case while more information about their son Keith's kidnapper surfaces.
For the greater good, yes.
Tuesday on The Resident, a heavy storm causes a helicopter crash, filling Chastain's ER with patients, including the governor. Then an encore of the series premiere of Alert Missing Persons Unit. Wednesday, it's 4 celebrities and 1 hour of musical fun on the season 3 return of Name That Tune.
Good luck. Thank you.
That's followed by the time period premiere of Special Forces World's Toughest Test, with recruits taking on an emergency escape drill.
I don't know whether that's sabotage or not.
Thursday on Hell's Kitchen, special guests Eric McCormick and Justin Turner dine in the dinner service for charity.
I got a bear trap we can use.
Then on Welcome to Flatch, it's a bachelor party for Kelly's dad. Sheila moves into a retirement home on Call Me Kat. And to round out the week, it's the action of WWE Friday Night SmackDown. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of otters at the Oregon Zoo enjoying some ice. Let's make it a great tomorrow.